friends of love for volleyball, amor por el voleibol. I'm pleased and honored to talk today with our Olympic champion, silver medal champion also, Jan Posthuma from the Netherlands, who is kindly talking with me about his volleyball life. Hello, Jan, how are you?
Hello. I'm fine, thank you.
Super, excellent. And first of all, Jan, please tell me, when and why did you start playing volleyball and choose volleyball as your sport?
Well, it was a long time ago. It was when I was about 12 years old. I was playing football.
Okay.
And because I was very good in playing the soccer game, I wanted to become the goalkeeper. And my trainer said, because also I have two sisters who were already playing volleyball, and then he said to me, well, why don't you try to go to the volleyball training? And so I went there, and that was the start. And I had a nice opportunity for 4 years after to go to another team in Snake, which is my hometown. And there they played almost the highest level. And the year when I came, they made a promotion to the highest level in volleyball. So in 4 or 5 years time, it was growing very fast, and I think I made a good choice to play volleyball and not to stay with soccer.
Absolutely, and even when in your country, football is so strong. You have already a great tradition in football in the country, also in volleyball and other sports. But please tell me, when you start to playing, do you have some, for example, players do you want to emulate, or you have some idol? For example, we here in Chile, when I started to play, we look over the mountains and we saw the Argentine and the Brazilian players. We wanted to play like them. Do you have some person or player that you wanted to play like him, or not?
Yeah, well, at that time, the Russian players were very strong, and I started as an outside player.
Okay.
And later on, I became a middle player. And at that time, also the Americans came along, and so at that time, you had Zaitsev and Savin, also a very good center player.
Yes.
So I was looking up to at the first time as him. And later on, when the American team became very strong, there was, of course, Greg Buck. So that was in my time. That were the most important players you wanted to play against. Yeah.
Okay, understand. And I always have thought and admire the play that you have in the Netherlands team, especially in the Olympics and the World Champion, because as you told me, you started to play as an outside hitter, and we can see now on YouTube, for example, that you're a very big and high player. You also play the second time, or some players of your team like Bas van der Goor or Henk den Held also attack from behind, and that's something you don't see today in volleyball. It's very strange to see somebody or a middle blocker to attack from behind. So please tell me about your experience in first in your club teams, and then in the national teams. How was it for you to grow in volleyball, to see that you could play in the national team, and also you could see that your national team started to win in different championships. Please tell me about your experience.
Yeah, well, in my club team, I was still playing outside. I was an outside hitter, and I once in a while had to receive. And later on, when Ari Sellinger He was the coach of the national team with the women for the USA. He later on came to Holland, and in that period, it was for me it was a good chance, an opportunity to go to the center, because in my club team we needed an outside hitter, and in the national team you have more possibilities. And then there was also my colleague from the same hometown, Sotsma, and we were in the center, and we could also receive. So in that period, when we grow up in the national team, we had the possibility to and receive and play the center, and together with Rob Gravert, he was outside hitter and also receiver. We played with the three of us in the reception. In that time, it was also the old counting. How do you say until 15?
Yes, I understand.
And also the attack from behind the outside from behind. The attack from out behind was very coming up, because Salinger wanted to have the possibilities to have one setter and 5 attackers. Exactly. So in every situation, it was very important that when you saw the possibility to where the space was, you had to call, and the setter should have 5 possibilities to play the ball. And well, that was also the period that the jump serve was not so important as it is now. But so I think for us it was a very nice period to grow, because we were very capable to do these things. And later on, when the jump serve and other things were more important, I was more useful as a substitute.
Yes, and especially in block, I know. Please tell me, Jan, about you. When did you start thinking about volleyball as your career or as your life? And because sometimes you start to play a sport and you say, okay, I will with my study, I want to work in another thing. But did you have some moment, or somebody told you volleyball could be your life?
Well, that was I was about 22, something like that, and I was finishing school, and I was looking for a job, but there was no job. And then the possibility to train with Salinger. He came at that period. He came in Holland, and we had the possibility to go to join the national team, and you had to make the promise: if you join the national team, you don't play in the club team.
Okay.
So that means that you cannot play in a club team in Holland, but also not in a club team in Italy, for example.
Okay.
And in that period, the first year, we were growing very fast, and because we make a lot of hours in the gym, of course, and the progress was enormous, because we also played against opponents who were stronger. So also the organization was very important to follow us, because we were very fanatic at that time. Yes. And eager to play, and because of that, we grew very fast. And after that, we had the idea that, well, there's a possibility you can make money out of it. Okay. And when I was 26, I had also a year before already received an invitation from Italy
Mhm.
And when I was 26, I went to in Italy, and that's how it grew. Because in Holland we made a lot of progress, but not a lot of money. And then after we had everybody had the opportunity to gain some money in Italy.
Absolutely. And I remember I interviewed, for example, Raúl Quiroga from Argentina, and he told me it was very impressive for him to fly to Italy and to play professional, because professionally it's your work. You have to train in the morning, to play in the afternoon. All of your life is about volleyball. And how was it for you to change your life in the national team in Holland and the Netherlands to Italy, where the volleyball is a crazy thing. The tifosi, the towns, the clubs are so strong and so crazy about volleyball. How was it for you to change your life in this way?
Well, that was just as you said. When I went to Italy, it was very important to speak the language, because the Italian they could speak English, but so we could understand each other. And but I in 2 or 3 weeks I had the idea that also the language is very important, and you have to be part of the Italian people and also the Italian culture. And the Italian culture is different than the Dutch culture. And sports in Italy is very important. And
Yes.
and because of the language, I could I was in a few weeks I started at Montichiari, which is a very social team. And the president and the managers and everybody was very polite. And well, you have to perform, that's for sure. And in that period, you have 2 foreigners in one Italian team. So, you only can have 2. And I started with Raúl Quiroga, the Argentine.
Look.
And so that was my first experience in Italy. But I had the idea that the culture and the language was very important. And you have to perform, of course.
Absolutely. And tell me, Jan, please, how was it for you to grow in volleyball professionally, and also to see that you and your teammates in the national team were getting better and better? I remember also have the opportunity to talk with Peter Murphy and Joop Alberda. They told me that what you said, you were hungry for gold, you were hungry to win. So it's very impressive to watch that. Even that Holland is a small country, besides Italy, Germany, United States, Russia. You were inspired to win. So the trainers, the government, as they told me, and even your players wanted to go to gold. How was it for you to be part of this generation, this gold generation, and to be a very important part of this team? How was it for you? You were playing in Italy, you're playing the national team, you were watching this improvement in your success. How was it for you to be part of this gold generation?
Yeah, well, that's first I have to say that I was very lucky to live in this period, because you need people as Salinger, who was a very good trainer, and he made the switch here in Holland, more or less. And because we are, just as I told before, the culture in Holland is different. And they always say, what kind of sports you? And if they ask me what I did, I said volleyball. Okay, but do you also work? That's always the second question, because you cannot live from sports. In that period, only soccer was very good at that time. My idea that the hunger for the ball and the hunger for performance came during the playing, because you always had the idea, well, I can reach it, and we never did something that we couldn't manage. So if you had the idea, well, I can block him, or I can attack very good, and I can receive, and I can play very good defense against this team, and then you have also the feeling. Maybe 9 out of 10 you lose, but when you have the feeling that the first time is there, and that's always in the back of your head, and you have to be honest against yourself that it is possible. You don't reach out for something you cannot reach to. It has to be possible, and also the belief came, let's say day by day, week by week, and together with my experience in Italy, I think personally for me it was the switch, and the most important moment that I had the idea, well, we can win gold for sure.
Absolutely. And how was it for you and your teammates to play, for example, in Barcelona in '92, to go to the finals, lose it sadly against Brazil, a very strong Brazilian team, and how was your feeling in this championship? And do you thought in this time, okay, we can make it later, or you thought, okay, it's over?
Yeah. No, I was at that period. You had the idea that you could win gold, and I was very disappointed. Also because we lost 3-0 against Brazil, and in 5 or 10 minutes I was very disappointed, and after 10 minutes I was very realistic, because Brazil was at that time was very good, and they were enormous good team, and also they played very well, and we at that time had still some problems and some issues and some difficulties, and but as I told you before, if you have the feeling that you can reach it, that at that time it was already the feeling. So for 10 minutes I was disappointed, and after, we had the idea, we have to wait another 4 years.
Absolutely. And Barcelona was your second Olympic Games. You played in Seoul in '88.
Yes.
How was this difference to play in Seoul as a first-time Olympic player, and then in Barcelona? And later we will talk about Atlanta. But what was this difference for you?
Well, Seoul was the first, and it was. We also had the idea, and also it was accepted that we had to make pictures from how is the Olympic Village, how is this, enjoy it, and so on and so on. So we did it. We took our photo cameras and we took a lot of pictures, and we had some things besides volleyball, and we enjoyed it very much, and we became fifth. So it was we became fifth, and it was also for us it was a very good result. And when we went 4 years later to Barcelona, I didn't took a camera, I didn't took anything else, and I had the focus on winning the gold, and that's the difference in 4 years. Yeah.
Very interesting to know. I always have talked with many players around the world that for volleyball, the Olympics is the highlight of your career. In soccer, for example, it's not. In soccer, the world champion, it's more important. But for volleyball, the Olympic championship, the Olympic gold is something very, very important. It's a highlight. And I wanted to ask you, after Barcelona, I know, because I have already talked with some of your teammates, how was it for you? You stopped to play for the national team? You wanted to continue to play? You wanted to have Atlanta as your goal? Or did you don't expect in this right moment to have a future in your vision? How was it for you to visualize Atlanta?
Well, then I was growing older and older, and I was playing in Italy, also with a very good result. So the performance was there. Later on, I quit playing with the national team because the combination of the national team and Italy and my age, I didn't had enough time to recover.
Okay.
So then, 1 year before, I'm not sure about that, but 1 year before the Atlanta came, there was Joop Alberda, the trainer at that time.
Yes.
And he phoned me and he said, well, I want you in the national team. And I said, I have to think about it, because I didn't have the idea that I would go again to the Olympics. But at that time we had a lot of contact in Italy as the players. So we went along well at that time. So for me it was not new, because I had a contact the players already, and but I didn't have the idea that I could reach the level again, because of at that time we had Henk-Jan Held and Bas van der Goor.
Yes.
And they were very good, and they had a different kind of play. But I was still doing well in blocking. So he said, well, you have to, the trainer, Joop Alberda, said, well, you have to make these guys, and in practice you have to kill them, and you have to train them. And,
yes.
And if it's there, I'll give you the opportunity, and you play. And so, I said, well, it's to do. It's not 4 years, but at the time he asked me, it was 1 year or a few months, because after you start after the program in Italy. So at that time I was very relaxed, and I had what's always important, that your place in the team. And if it's just the same as if you reach to something, to a goal that you cannot approve, it's not realistic. And at that time I had I knew my place. I knew what I was capable of, and so I went there with many convinced ideas. Yeah.
Super. It's so important what you're saying, because I remember another interview with a Brazilian volleyball player, Giovanni Gavio. He played against you in Barcelona, and he told me that after many years, the trainer Bernardinho invited him to play in the World Championship in 2002, and he was in the bank. And he told me it was very difficult for him, as an ex-number-1 player, a very important thing in Brazil, to be in the bank. But he understand, as you told me, that his part was very important too, to be the most experienced, to have so many histories to tell the young players. And so I understand what you're saying, and it's very important to know what you're saying about knowing the place where you belong, and what you can teach the younger players, and also you played in with many different generations in the national team.
Yeah.
In the generation from Marco Brouwers, I don't know, Rob Graben, and later with young players, Rod Zwerver, Henk Jan Held. How was it for you to be the I don't know, the key between this different generation, to be part of it and to achieve goals? How was it for you, the living this moment?
Well, that's what you say. When you start to play volleyball, I had a competition in the national team at that time, also with Marco Brouwers. Just you told me, and I was looking up against him because he was a very good volleyball player, but also a very strong personality. And so it was, for me, it was difficult to compete with him. Because he was a very strong personality, and I learned from him also a lot that if you play like him, you have to be your own personality, you can beat them. And later on, and at the end, for example, I was also on the bench, but I was on the bench with 5 other players. Mm-hmm. At that time, you had 12 players, 6 in the field and 6 on the bench. During practice, it's always the first team against the second team, and you can make the first team stronger when the second team is very strong. Mm-hmm. So I had at that period, also in Italy, and also at the end of my career, I had the idea that the team is as strong as as the bench is. Yes. Because you can have an injury or something else, but at that time the trainer also had the idea, against this team I need more blocking experience, and against that team I need more attack experience. Yes. So I had a kind of switch a few times with Henk Jan Held, for example, and which he was very good in attack, better than me. And sometimes it depended also on the opponent, that the blocking was more important. I remember also the game in Atlanta against Bulgaria, and it was very important for us to pass this, because if you lose, you can go home, and if you win, you go on. So that was not at that time. It was a very important match, and but you have to do this also in practice. It's not only you have to perform during the game, but during the practice you have to create the feeling and the possibility, and also to make the first team stronger. That's that's the difference between the start of your career and the end of your career. You have to know your place. Yes, absolutely. And tell me, please, how was it for you to achieve and reach the final in Atlanta, playing against, I think, all your teammates in Italy? You could see that the Dutch team and the Italy team, they were all teammates in different clubs in Italy. How was it for you to play this game, to be part of this final? And I also told your teammates that I interviewed that, for example, as a publicum, as a crowd, you could see more orange in the seats in Atlanta than in Barcelona. Yeah. So maybe that helped you. I don't know, but how was it for you to play this final in Atlanta? I think one of the greatest and most beautiful final in the Olympic Games for volleyball. How was it for you? And after this, to wear the gold medal, to be part of this generation. How was it for you, and personally, to be part of this gold generation? Yeah, well, that's as I told before, that if you have the idea, you can win. But you lose 9 out of 10. This was the situation with Italy, because Italy was normally during the competition was stronger than we were. And I think the difference between in the final in Atlanta and also a little bit before was that we had less respect. So, yeah, it sounds crazy, but if you have respect for someone, also when you play against Savine, I played against Savine, I played against Greg Buck. When you have respect, you cannot win.
Absolutely, yeah, you're so right. You're so right.
That's not. Yeah, that's not. I mean, you have to have respect as a person, but during the game, you don't have respect. After the game, it's okay. But and that's what we learned, I think, and that was also the difference. And so, well, they were my friends, of course. But when you play against them, everybody had the idea: if you respect them, you lose. And that was the change, I think.
Very interesting what you're saying. It's absolutely, you're absolutely right. And I understand you. and tell me, please, Jan, after Atlanta, what do you do with your career? Did you keep playing in Italy? You stopped playing in Italy with the national team? How was it after Atlanta?
Yeah, well, I quit in Italy, and I quit also with the national team. So it was more or less the final game. And it was also, as I remember, it was the last time the old counting system until 15.
Yes.
And after that, they changed. Well, after that, I went back to Holland, and my trainer from my club team, he asked me if I could play with his team. At that time, it was Apeldoorn.
Okay.
And I could come 2 or 3 times a week for practice, and if I wanted, I could be at the games. And I played there for 1 season, and after that, he asked me, "Can you become assistant coach or something like that? And is it maybe a possibility for something for the future?" Well, I said, well, we have to try. I had the papers. You need papers to be a coach. So I was curious if I was capable to do something like that. And at the end of the season, of that season, I decided that it was not my future.
Okay.
And at that time, also in my personal life, there were some changes, and I went along with the wife I still have at this time, and she was busy with her career, and we wanted to have kids, and so after 2 or 3 years, I became father again for my 3rd child, and it was this is my 4th child.
Hello.
And so I decided to stay home and to take care for the kids.
Okay.
And my wife was busy with her career.
Fantastic to know. I always tell my publicum, my followers, publicum is in German. I mix sometimes the language.
I'm the same, man.
Yes. I lived in Germany as a child, so sometimes I mixed the language. How was it for you to be? No. Sorry, I was telling you that I have sometimes talked about the importance for me, and I think for many people around the world, the importance to talk with players like you. You're part of the history. You're a very important part of figure of the history of volleyball. I want that, and my intention is, by one side, to honor the players from the past, from many generations, and also to show that the actual players that before them, there were so many volleyball. I have the opportunity to interview players from the 60s, from the 50s that played in Chile or South America, and to know for the younger people, the younger players to see that volleyball has a so beautiful history with so many players, so many great stories around the court. For me, it's very important. So I'm very glad to speak with you. I don't remember why and when I started to admire Dutch volleyball, but I think you have made a so great history. Even now that the national team or the men or the women teams are struggling with so many another powerful countries. So volleyball is getting day by day stronger with the jump serve. The players are all getting bigger and bigger. I think you're a part of the normal size of the players today, but volleyball is getting stronger and stronger, and especially what I see, what you're doing in Netherlands is very very impressive. So I wanted to ask you now, Jan, about your feelings about volleyball, because sometimes you played a championship, you win it, but you don't feel that you played very well. Do you have some championship that you played, and maybe you didn't win this championship, but you remember it as the most beloved one, or for example, I don't know, maybe Barcelona is your most remembered championship, but you didn't win the gold. Do you have some championship or some tournament that you remember the most?
Yeah, well, when they asked me what was your most remembrance game, and they expect that it was the gold medal game against Italy in Atlanta, but that isn't the way it goes for me, because I also have good memories when before Barcelona I was asked to return to the national team, and also Ari Sillingen was asked to return to coach this team, and we went to Japan for 2 weeks because he was practicing there with his women's team, which was a club team. And it was also was a very very big gym, so we had space, and he could train at both sides. We made we had about 100 training practice hours in 2 weeks, so we were mornings and in the afternoon, and also we 3 times a day we had the practice or game. So we were at the level that we thought, well, is this how we become better? But that's afterwards, when you see the movie before in your head, that also had to be very important to make the progress. And at that time, when you do those things, you don't have the capability of the why we do this, and afterwards you think like that. And well, sometimes it's when I give practice to a team here in this hometown, as last year I did it a few times, but it's and the difference between I played volleyball and how they play volleyball nowadays, to me it had a lot to do with technique and to repetitions, and also to think in a different way. And for example, for center blockers, they always ask me how do I have to block with the hands there, that. And then I said, well, when you want to be a good blocker, you have to be quick on your feet, and that's a different kind of thinking, maybe, but. And there are some people who understand this, and there are people who don't understand this. So they go along with, well, what's the important about the feet? Well, the velocity, the velocity, you have to first go to the ball to walk there or to run there or as quick as you can, and you don't do that with your hands. You do that with your feet. So what I will say is that it's a different kind of experience in my head, and other players have other experience. And just as I said, it's very lucky to have a nice generation with me, with Peter Blanger and with Avital Selinger as a setter, and also with Bas van der Goor and, well, Sverver, Olaf van der Meulen. Like this, all these players, it's very important that you have the right team around you, and that's how you can perform very well.
Absolutely. And how what is your opinion about actual volleyball? Do you like the way volleyball is growing today? The new rules, or maybe as I'm more nostalgic about volleyball because I played as a middle blocker. I'm not so tall as you, but I love to receive, to defense. I love to be part of all the game. What do you think about the today's volleyball?
I think the same as you, because when they changed the rules, it was Acosta who changed the rules. I think it had to do with television or something, and but for me it was very important that I could receive, that I could play defense, that I could serve, and that I could play the game. And nowadays, when you serve, you can serve touching the net, and you have a different kind of when you're a center blocker, normally you're only playing on the net. Yes. For 3 positions, and the other 3 positions you're out. Well, that it is not my game. Let me say it like that.
I understand it. Finally, Jan, I wanted to tell you again that for me it's a big honor, a great honor to be able to talk with you. I'm a big admirer of your generation, of your teams, about how and how you could play so well in a time where you have big rivals as the Brazilian, the Russian team, the Cuban team, the American team. It was a time where the teams were also as today, but in this time you could see the Argentinian team, also the France team, many teams with many great players, and you could struggle between them and you could win. So it was very impressive for me, and as I told you in the beginning of this conversation about volleyball, I could talk hours and hours about volleyball, but I know we have schedules, we have times, things to do. But I wanted to thank you again for your time, for your kindness to speak with me. With the time difference, and it was very interesting to know the human part of volleyball, because sometimes you only see the match, you only see the team playing in the court. But for me, it's very important to know the people, the person behind the players. So I thank you for this, for your time, for your kindness to talk with me. So I wanted to send you a big hug from Chile in South America, very far in the south of the world, and keep you and send you an invitation to keep looking what I'm doing. Hopefully you follow my channels. So that's was for me very, very interesting to talk with you, to know you and your experience in volleyball.
You're very welcome. It's nice to talk about this, and as I said, also that sometimes you tell your children how it was. 3 out of 4 are playing volleyball, and it's very nice to see that that they play with a lot of fun. That's the most important, and that's how that's the way I play it. Also, I always had fun, and I always said, well, if I had to do it again, I would do it the same way. So I was very lucky, and so that's and it's always nice to talk also a little bit about history things, and it's nice to talk to you.
Fantastic. Many thanks.